Good morning. This is Ian Nethercott. Just got back from Used Car Week in San Diego, and obviously wanted to share some details as we get ready for 2023 on the future of automotive retail. If you haven't read Steve Greenfeld's new book, The Future of Automotive Retail, definitely check it out, and definitely check out his interview with the co-founder of Carvana on the Auto Hub Show YouTube channel. So let's go over a few details as to what he shared, but more importantly, what's coming. This is his quote, not mine, but I agree with it. The rate of change is going to accelerate. In the next 10 years, you're going to see a lot of changes, not only from the retail marketplace, but also from the OEM and new entrants. Here are the things that are going to change, to give you a hot list. Focus on customer convenience, accelerating margin compression, entrance of big technology players, electrification, build to order, OEM selling direct to consumers. Yeah, that's right. Autonomous vehicles, more complex vehicles, more reliable vehicles, and consolidation, not only on the manufacturer side, but on the retail side. We're already seeing that happening with a reduction in total dealership count in North America and around the world. So right now, automotive dealers seem to think they got a good handle on things. They seem to think they got it figured out. It's been a great year. We all know that, but things are about to get very, very difficult. So it's calm now, but get ready for 2023. Big changes are on the way. State of the industry. Well, basically, as we look at COVID, there's been a huge increase, but I'm pretty confident that as interest rates continue to rise, the market continues to change, we're going to get back to our lower profit margins historically, because history unfortunately repeats. So what does that mean? Well, as inventory comes back to normal levels, you're definitely going to make less money per unit. So you're going to have to get creative, and you're going to have to pivot. New car incentives. The manufacturer obviously doesn't want to get back to incentives. They're going to have to, but if you really believe they're going to get back to 0% when interest rates are 10%, I just don't think that's going to happen. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. One of my favorite quotes by Mike Tyson, highly recommend. So the question is, what are the manufacturers going to do? Well, they're definitely going to fill the pent-up demand. That means there's going to be cars at scale, and we're going to chase each other to the bottom again, but this time it's going to be different. What does that mean? Well, if you're familiar with the prisoner's dilemma, it's a great analogy here. The lack of OEM production and price discipline is a historical fact, so here's some details. If you really believe the OEM has learned and will change the game there in terms of price discipline, you would be wrong. Average dealer profit. So this gives you a sense of how bad things were during the last recession. And chances are dealers are going to get back to negotiating hard and grinding it out, which means you basically need to look at other areas of your business to drive revenue and get better at the front end of the house and the back end. And surprisingly, also good at the parts side of the business. Auto dealers are losing money. This is NADA. This is a current offer that Ford has presented to its dealers to change the model, as you already know. Those are a couple options. GM has done the same, and it looks like other manufacturers are following suit. The Volkswagen guys are doing the same thing. They're not sure what they're going to do, but they're definitely doing something different. Ford is not allowing people to buy cars at the end of the lease, much like Tesla is doing, to control the batteries, but more important, to control that customer. GM wants to compete with Tesla on the battery side for home batteries. Stellantis is going to adopt an agency model in Europe, so if you really think they're not eventually going to bring it in North America, you're probably wrong. Mercedes dealer here, you probably read this article, he's suing Mercedes for changing the game on him. And this is a good map or a good example of Tesla. So Tesla is blazing a trail for all the other automakers, and they're even doing things really interesting with native reserves to try and get around the franchise model. So if you really think they're not going to test this franchise model, they will. Also, as we get into more and more electric vehicles, there's fewer parts, less frequent service, and less revenue for the dealer. So what does that mean from a maintenance point of view? I know dealers don't pay as much attention on the fixed op side of the house as they should. You need to start paying attention to ICE vehicles, but more importantly, leveraging your electric vehicle customers into ICE vehicle, so if they have one in the household, to try and retain those customers. The good news over the short term is, dealers are probably one of the very few service departments that can service electric vehicles. That obviously won't last, but you need to be aware of it, but more importantly, start retaining customers because you're going to have less service on ICE vehicles. The rule of thumb is electric vehicles going to require 1/3 of service needs. So let me say that again, 1/3 of the service needs. So you're going to have 1/3 of the revenue there. That's if you retain everybody. There's so many growth opportunities, but the question is, who's going to get the revenue? So Hyundai is going to spend software-defined vehicle revenue. What does that mean? Well, basically, software is going to be one of the new revenue streams for the OEM. The question is that going to be something that the dealer is going to participate in? You probably saw this article on BMW. So the question is, what piece of that pie, if anything, are you as a dealer going to get? Car feature subscriptions should be illegal based on New Jersey, but in addition to subscriptions, you're going to see over-the-air updates. What does that mean? Well, basically it means less warranty work because a lot of the software can be fixed over the air, so hence they're doing an end run around the dealership. This is OEM's cost savings currently and projected, so it gives you a sense of what's in it for them. The question is, what's in it for you? Sales, service, parts, all these things are about to change as we move into the future. High-tech cars are killing repair shops because not as many parts, not as much service, not as much stuff breaks, and not as many moving parts. Right to repair bills are on the way, so that will also change the game. You can see that recently with General Motors dealerships actually fixing Tesla models. So that's even true with the direct-to-sale model. Stellantis obviously is in court as well. Cadillac dealers, some of them just aren't doing EVs. Is that the right move? Don't know. Buick offers to buy out dealers, so the game is changing all over the place. Ford, is doing the same thing, and they just announced this week that they're not going to do any auto shows, at least in the Canadian market, because they just don't need to. So what is the future going to bring as we roll into 2023, and what's in it for you, and how can you adapt and change? Change is coming. We already went over this, but obviously focus, accelerating, entrance of big tech, electrification, build to order, OEMs, autonomous vehicles, more complex, more reliable, and consolidation. Margin compression. Margins are going to keep getting compressed, and as you've seen in the marketplace, larger and larger dealer groups are buying more and more stores, and they're figuring it out. The question is, are you in which one of three camps are you in? Are you in the growing camp where you're ahead of the curve? Are you in the acquisition mode? Are you that dealer who's basically not adapting and is either going to sell or go out of business? The other question is, how are you going to avoid that asteroid that's about to hit the industry? Well, here's a good example of the different areas of a car dealership currently. That's about to change. You're going to see things that are risky, the things that are going to change, but more importantly, what's going to change when and how you adapt to that's based on data. You need to get your house in order, but more importantly, you need to figure out how to crank up these different departments because as they change, the turns, the money per turns, and how you retain customers is more important than ever. I like to use this analogy from Spinal Tap that you got to turn it up to 11, but more importantly, in order to do that, you need to benchmark it, you need to have that real-time data, you need to train your team to the future, and more importantly, you need to adapt as it comes at you. Historically, that was done by having a quarterly, monthly, annual meeting to talk about projections. That quite simply isn't enough. Training people like we did 20 years ago, whether it be Greg Cardone, Joe Verde, Mr. Elliott, so on and so forth, is just no longer enough. You need the data, you need the real-time data to make the decision. You need to train to your staff, and you need to train to today's market, and you're going to need to pivot quickly. Maybe not in real time, but you need that real-time information. Well, the great news is I work for a company called Deal Optics. We identify the challenges, solve them today, and drive results, but more importantly, we were built for the car industry. We tie the training to actually what you need, and we give you the data in real time so you can see what's going on in your business, whether you're in the dealership or whether you're remote. Feel free to give me a call. It takes 20 minutes. I can show it to you front to back. It's a very simple solution that gets you the result. As things continue to change, you need to get ahead of it. Have yourself a great end to 2022. Looking forward to speaking to you in 2023 or before. 20 minutes. Have a great day.